Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another weekend edition here of the Kung Fu Cup, the KFC number 8, your weekly dose of Kung Fu Cup action. I'm, of course, your host, VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players and other people in the chat as well. Welcome, wonderful. Bienvenidos. It's been an intense week of StarCraft, and the intensity will continue. But we're here with something a little bit different. Usually, our Kung Fu Cup broadcasts are in the evening, and usually they'd be around 12-ish hours, no, around like 10-ish hours from now. 10 to 9 hours from now. But if you recall, because there's so many GSL and RSL broadcasts this week, we had to find some room for the podcast. Otherwise, we'd miss another week of the podcast, and the news stacks up and it all gets a little bit out of hand. So we decided to have a morning broadcast instead for the KFC. Okay, so for the first time in a long time, it's going to be a morning broadcast instead, just to be able to catch up, just so we do not start falling behind in terms of Kung Fu Cup action. Of course, a big shout to SC Boy for hosting and organizing the event, as we are jumping right into the initial match of the broadcast. Let's go. It is going to be a PvP here between herO and Showtime. For those who are curious, for those that are unaware, Kung Fu Cup is an event organized by SC Boy, by the Chinese scene and by the Chinese community. Their host is on a regular weekly basis, and again, we do also likewise cover this on a weekly basis as well. When it comes to the live coverage of this event, it does typically start a little bit later for us, a little bit too late. It does end at around like 1-2 a.m. in the morning, so we do try to avoid those kind of broadcasts nowadays, and try to have a much more stable kind of sleep schedule, if you will. We're doing our best. We're doing our best. So instead, we do cover Kung Fu Cup via replays this season, this year. Is how we've been mixing things up. But here we go. We have our initial PvP. We're going to be jumping into the semi-finals, or semi-finales, jumping into Tourmaline. Let's go. Let us go. Coming into this, I'm excited to see a little bit more of Showtime. Showtime, he's more of an inactive player. He doesn't really compete in too many tournaments, especially too many open cups as well. So whenever we see him, it is a treat, and we'll see how he compares. Let's go. This morning in the bottom left-hand corner of Tourmaline, we have the blue Protoss player, the German Protoss. It is Showtime. And this morning in the right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the red Protoss representing T1. It is herO. So let us go. We're jumping into our PvP, and again, like, it's great to see more of Showtime. I feel like as of late, we've been mainly seeing Showtime in 2v2s. Like, he's been very, very active in the thermal 2-2 circuits, but when it comes to other open tournaments, whether it's the Water TV Mondays, One Night Weeklies, or even Kung Fu Cups, again, it has been significantly less of Showtime. So I do appreciate it. Do appreciate to see some more of our Protoss player here. Of course, top 2 Protoss in Europe alongside Max, and we'll see how he compares to herO. Let's go. Let's go. Now, as a reminder, coming into this series, welcome to Tourmaline, we expect hyper aggression. If you know anything about Showtime, you'll know that he is hyper cheesy, specifically in PvP. I know that he has a reputation for being a more defensive kind of player, for being the wall, if you will. And that is the case in other matchups, but less so in PvP. He is willing to cheese, he's willing to all in. His probe does deviate here towards the left-hand side, and it looks like he's setting up for his own proxy location on the top side of the map. Likewise, here is setting up for what looks to be a fake proxy pylon. Now, I say fake pylon, bearing in mind that because of the short rush distance by ground, technically we could even throw down a robo here and we could still go into a one base all in. Like, that's how small the map is. So that's something to bear in mind. We can see that no, it's going to be a fake out. herO does abandon the pylon. It has been thrown down outside of the main. Likewise, I can say the same for Showtime, but Showtime does stay in the vicinity here of the pylon, so it looks like we can use this, and based on its location, it looks like a proxy Stargate, but it might again still be the proxy robo. And there it is, Stargate. So proxy Stargate here by Showtime. Showtime, he is going for an aggressive opener. This is not an all-in. It is designed to deal economic damage and to cripple herO. Designed to cripple. Meanwhile, throws down and sets up back at home. herO coming with his own probe scout, and he should get into the main. Oh, it's gonna be close. Does get in. Does get in. Does sit past. He will count the pylons. He will confirm that a pylon is missing. So here he's aware that something is wrong. Stalkers are moving out across the map. Of course, Showtime did open up double Adept in a head-on fight. We do have to favor the Stalkers. Stalkers are going to be favored here. As it ups, they do take a couple of hits to the face. Going to be zoned back. Ooh, Showtime does find the pylon. He knows it's a fake out. He knows this is a more standard opener. And he's aware behind this herO is not going to be expanding. He does go for a Twilight Council before expansion. Interesting. Oh, and a robot. Sorry, in the gateway as well. Bearing in mind this is a reaction. Remember, herO, he knows that a pylon is missing. He knows that tech has been proxied. He just doesn't know what is going on. It could still be a robot one base all in. So herO playing very careful. That's here searching for the adepts. Oracle does move in. And the Oracle will get some damage. Yeah, probes are going to be going down. The Stalker's out of position. Getting 1, getting 2, 3 probe kills so far. Not bad. Can we get 4? We can. Yeah, 4, 5 probes even. Oh my god. Yeah, 5 probes. The Oracle does escape. Ooh, does not escape. Will be intercepted here by herO. So nice catch out of our red Protoss. But now herO's behind. herO, he is far behind in the economy. Showtime has a very comfortable lead. But I should emphasize those. Remember, herO, he has Blink. Blink is on the horizon. Extra gateway was not thrown down. So just 2 gate Blink. Oh, once again, though, intercepts the Oracle. And this is the second Oracle here for Showtime. This one has dealt 0 damage. Here he finds a proxy. And Showtime's going for the robo. Again, this is very common in this kind of position here. The reasoning as to why there's a robo on the way is because Showtime knows that he is going to have a smaller and weaker ground army. He's going to have less Stalkers. He will not have Blink. So to make up for that, to compensate for that, we need Immortals. And Immortals are going to be necessary. First Immortals on the way. Behind this, herO finally does expand. Fun fact, he'll be the first to expand, despite the fact that Showtime has had map control for longer. So here he's expanding, still behind worker-wise, but that will soon not be the case. As herO moves out, herO, upon confirming that there is a Nexus on the way, that should prompt herO to start pushing across the map. As now he knows there's no crazy weird one-base rule in play. Yep, there we go. Instantly, herO, his army does activate. Likewise, he just scouted the robo and he saw the first Immortal. Now herO, he might try to, yeah, he's going to be able to bypass the army. He does have high ground vision with the hallucination. So he has high ground vision. He can avoid the main army and dive into the main. We can see that Showtime is out of position. And herO, he might just settle for the pylon. We might just ignore and go straight into the mineral line. What's the plan? There he goes to the pylon. We'll get a nice pick off here. And pylon goes down, and we should escape from here. Does wink away. Does pull away. Behind this herO going for his own robo. Building up his economy. herO, if you recall, we mentioned earlier that he was behind earlier, but because of the faster Nexus, he would catch up, and he has. He has actually overtaken Showtime, even supply blocking him with the sniper that pylon. Now, Showtime does have potential with these stasis traps, but overall herO, he has recovered from the early game. Oh. Has recovered, and oh, he's going for a follow-up here. Glaives are on the way. Going into Glaives, going into, I would imagine, Immortal production. That is very common here, to go for these like big 2-3 base all-ins. Here looking to expand, but remember, Glaive ups do not scale well into a longer game. This is for an earlier push. Oh. So it goes off. Bearing in mind that Mass Adept does have an earlier power spike, it does fall off over time, especially as your opponents builds up a higher Stalker count and gets into Archon production. Stalkers do blink away. Here it does pull out. And here is gearing up for his push. As he is gearing up. Showtime behind this, he does have some catching up to do, and he's staying on 2 bases actually. So he's committing on 2 bases, going for extra gateways, into charge, into early Archon production as well. This is very tech heavy here at a Showtime, And I'm a little bit concerned that it might just be too tech heavy here. herO, of course, his third base is more than halfway done. Here comes the main push as well. He's at his depths. The prism is still on the way, so his reinforcements are going to be a little bit delayed, but only a little bit because, hey, I mean, this is where the map comes into play. The map is so small and reinforcements, they still arrive very quickly, despite the lack of prism. And here he has a massive army to work with. He does trigger the shields on the first immortal. Shields are triggered. Tempted to dive. Just nibbling away at the army. Here come more reinforcements, and here comes the war prism. And the prism is here. A bit of an awkward force field. Quite able to engage with us, force a cancel, and Sunny wants to go for the dive. And once again triggers the shields, kites back, adepts have made it, they hit a tank, they hit a buffer, and their first immortal is going to go down. Massive pickup. There's no prism. Yeah, there's no prism, there's no defensive micro here for Showtime, and GG gets called. GG gets called. herO, he overwhelms, takes down both immortals and the Archons, and herO takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Again, Showtime honestly had a really good start. He had a good start. Remember, he killed 5 probes for only 1 Oracle. But then the Oracle got intercepted. We saw the eventual recognition of what was going on here from herO. He was able to shut down the second Oracle, of course, as well, and get a faster natural base. From there, he was able to gain map control, and Showtime had a much harder time taking his own expansion, taking up into his own 2 bases. Again, Showtime was very tech heavy, if you recall. He went for a very late 3rd expansion, going to charge on Archons, but because he was taking up so much, and because his 3rd base was so late, he actually didn't have the economy to sustain that kind of complex army. He had a couple of Archons and a couple of Immortals towards the end, but the army was very small overall due to that lack of economy, which Showtime did fall behind in. GG. GG, well played. And with that, we are going to be loading to game number 2. Let's go. Loading to game 2. Game 2 is going to be on Taito Citadel. I should also mention as well, because it does feel a little bit weird casting on some of these maps, we are featuring a standard ladder map pool. Unfortunately, KungFu Cup does not feature the TLMC map pool, which we often do showcase in these other open tournaments like KSL, Picasso Cup, Tuna Cups, for example. Even War DCB Mondays, we all do use the custom TLMC map pool. That is not the case for KFC. Smash. 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 But here we go. Here we go. We're going to be getting into game 2. And this morning, in the bottom right hand corner of Taito Citadel, we have the blue Protoss player, the German Protoss, down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back. It is Showtime. This morning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player. We have the South Korean Protoss. Representing T1, it is herO. Here we go. As we are settling into game 2, Taito Citadel being a bit of a larger map in the map. Well, I say a bit of a larger map, it is wider for sure, but plenty of aggressive features here, or plenty of areas where you can try to hide a pylon, hide a proxy. herO once again veering off towards the south side here, but this might just be for another fake proxy pylon, which he did invest into in game number 1. So eyes on herO's probe. Showtime does scat immediately. And here again, he does keep his probe on his side of the map, making it look like he wants to hide that pylon. And he does. He does hide the pylon. Now, this is technically on the main attack path to get across the map, and the probe is kept with the pylon itself, so we might actually commit. This wouldn't be a bad location for a proxy robot, to be honest. Cybercore's almost done. And Cybercore does complete. Adepts are on the way. Show us that robo. Huh. And there it is. Going for the robo. Going for the 1 base all in. Again, technically this is on hero's side of the map, but it's still on the main attack path, so it still is going to be able to reinforce that much faster. Likewise, a little bit harder to scout as it is closer to hero, less so to Showtime. Meanwhile, Showtime opening up with a Stargate. Ooh, okay. This has potential here. Going for a Stargate opener can do a couple of different things. Blindly, we should be seeing an Oracle opener, and the Oracle can force defensive weapons and can force supply to be stuck at home for hero. That is true. Likewise, we could even go for a defensive Void Ray or Phoenixes, which can help, depending on how we open up, whether it's Prism or Immortal first, and it is going to be the Prism. And upside that in the Shade. Showtime as well. Does not get in. Showtime is denied. Safety battery in them, somewhat in the base. Is here? No, wait, no, never mind. I'll say we have a battery on the way. We have a battery on the way for Showtime, which would be ideal against an Oracle. Showtime taking this very seriously, getting a second battery inside of the main, so hyper defensive play here by Showtime. He has not confirmed the proxy robot, but he's taking this very seriously, and he does spot the Prism. Yeah, big scout, big spot. Phoenix production has begun. Hero tool up second one-shot probes, and he does go for the mineral line. Oh, it's denied. He's going to be denied. He's going to be forced back, and so far this is looking solid here for Showtime. The Prism taking a lot of hits, taking a lot of damage. The Prism is going to go down. Oof. Massive pickup, and here he's falling apart. He's falling apart already. He's going for the Immortal into the Observer. He pulls back home. Behind this, Showtime going for Showtime went for his own defensive robot, for his own defensive Immortal production, into another battery and another pylon. This looks like an overreaction. Or, I mean, I say that. Showtime, he is securing himself very hard against a one-base all-in. My assumption, though, is that with Hero backing up, he has potential to transition, but no, he's doubling down. Hero is doubling down. We do see a third gateway on the way. We do have the Prism being rebuilt. Hero is committing, which means that this is the backup pylon, the backup battery will come into play. Showtime is looking very secure. And it's going to be difficult for Hero to break through. Very, very difficult. Oracle does attempt to dive. Hero does commit in. Hero going for the okay, this I like. So Hero, he moves out, and I believe that Hero cannot break this. He cannot break this position, and this is why I said a couple of moments ago that, like, oh, is Showtime overreacting? Because I assumed the Hero was going to expand, and he is. I thought he was going to take the natural. No, he goes for the gold. He's going for the gold base. So Hero, he doesn't really intend to break this position. He doesn't need to. All he has to do is contain his Showtime, and then slowly get ahead with the gold expansion. Oh boy. Here we go. Stage trap goes off. At Showtime, he believes that he's delaying the expansion of Hero. Oh, nice force field, but last there is a Prism. And Showtime, he will, by happenstance, just find the proxy. Does find the proxy. Showtime now knows. He's moving out across the map. Showtime, he needs to break out. Scratching the Observer. Phoenix, as they come together, they can always lift the Immortal, they can dive on the sentries, and looks like we will. Yeah, we're going for the dive, and here, ooh, he's late to react, late to respond. Immortal gets lifted, and Showtime should overwhelm this. Yeah, Hero trying to make a stand, they're going for the warp in. The Immortal does somehow survive. I don't. Yeah, but again, it's going to be lifted, going to be cleaned up, and upon losing this army, Hero, he should not be able to save the gold base. No shots. As Showtime, he snowballs out of control. Again, it was a bold move for Hero to rush into the gold, and it had some potential, but Showtime scouted. He scouted, he didn't recognize, he breaks out across the map. Again, it was just a really brutal start for Hero to lose the first Prism to the Phoenix. Showtime is coming. Definitely wasn't my chance to checking deliberately. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he was going to be moving in this direction just as Cap for proxies, or just as Cap for ninja bases, I should say. And there's no way we can hold here. Like, Noah 2 Immortals. The boys are being pulled. They're trying to be here, but nice lift here on the Stalkers. And breaks the expansion. And from here we can just overwhelm. We can chase down the army. Showtime can expand if he so chooses to. The best that here can hope for is a base trade. So if he can, again, he can never fight the main army. He can never fight this head on. So we can avoid the army, try to bypass it, get across the map. Even if there were to be a base trade, bearing in mind that Showtime can always recall. He can always recall back home. He has the energy for it. So Showtime has that safety net. Again, this is the best chance for herO to claim this game. Going for the base trade. Gates get depowered. Depowers the gates. herO does move in. And we'll see if we do end up recalling. As again, we have the energy for it. And Robo's being focused down. First Showtime, he depowers all the gateways. Gets into the mineral line. Likewise, so is herO. A little bit slower though. Yeah, Phoenixes, they do race back home. They catch some adepts. Takes down all the gateways, takes down the mineral line as well. But again, you can see the DPS output here of these 3 Immortals. They just chew through buildings so quickly. And there's a recall. He recalls back home. He makes it. Here he's gonna get the hell out of here. He does need to leave. Ooh, Prism's getting caught. Almost gets picked up. There we go. Yeah, it does fall, and with that, I mean, there's almost nothing left here. Hero's being revealed. The Immortals, they juggle over the wall. GG gets called, and we are going to the ace match. GG. Whew. GG, well played. We're going to game number 3 here. Again, it was a rocky start for herO, bearing in mind that this began with a proxy Robo into a Prism first, and he lost the Prism almost immediately, bearing in mind that Showtime had gone for an Oracle to open a Stargate into Oracle into Phoenix, and with that first Phoenix, he was able to shut down that first Prism. That did just swing heavily here the momentum in favor of Showtime, and herO's way to recover in this game was to go into the gold expansion, was to go for the ninja base. Fortunately, was found out, was spotted, and Showtime broke out. He was able to break out across the map. I was a little bit concerned that Showtime had overreacted and set up too heavily defensively back at home, but again, he was able to recognize what was going on and push out across the map and punish the gold. GG. GG, well played. With that, we're going to be going to the ace match. We're going into game number 3. Let's go. It's going to be on Winter Madness. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Winter Madness, we have the German Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss tying up the series 1-1 and forcing the ace match. It is a Showtime. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing T1. It is herO. Let's go. Let us go, as we are going to be settling into game number 3. So far, it's been a very aggressive series, bearing in mind that in game 1, we did have the proxy Stargate out of herO, where herO was able to gain a lead. Oh, sorry. The opposite, we had a proxy Stargate out of Showtime, where Showtime initially had a good start, if you recall. He was able to get 5 probe kills with the Oracle, but it was the second Oracle that got shut down. Likewise, here he was able to commit on one base, counterattack across the map, and things were very chaotic. Here in game 2, we saw herO initiate with his own proxy, but likewise was unable to have too much success with that either. So yeah, it's been a pretty so far, I should say that the proxies and the commitments from both Showtime and herO have been punished in their own way, both in game 1 and game 2. Coming into game 3, whose turn is it to proxy? No boy. Showtime does move out across the map. Do we settle into a standard opener, or do we once again set up some pylons? As both workers, they spot each other as we move out. Once again, 2 gate openers all around, and no one's going for a gate expand. Oh, herO does veer off. Okay. Here he veers off to the side. And it looks like he's hiding his pylon here. Similarly to the previous game, this is once again technically on hero's half of the map, but this would be a prime location for a proxy robo for a 1-base all-in. This is closer to showtime than it was in the previous game. True. As a result, we may open Immortal first instead of Prism first. So eyes are on hero. Showtime, of course, does scout the main, checking for the pylon placements. And we'll soon confirm that the second pylon is nowhere to be found. And does confirm that there's no second pylon. So back at home we have a defensive robo. Very nice call by Showtime, by the way, going for his defensive robo. Meanwhile, we have the offensive robo out of hero. So as a result, when it comes to the builds here, I do favor Showtime. It is mirrored builds, but this is supposed to be almost a hard counter to a proxy robo, as you have the equivalent production, but you have your defender's advantage with faster immortal reinforcements. Faster robo reinforcements, period. So this so far is a good call here by Showtime, but it comes down to the unit control, comes down to the micro, comes down to the positioning. As hero does get the first shot off. Oh, I say that, never mind. We actually had an extra volley on the adepts. Okay, better trade for Showtime. Better trade. Does pull away. Ooh, did Showtime scout? He did. He saw the robo. Showtime is now fully aware. He does confirm. Does confirm the proxy coming his way. Behind this, setting up his batteries. Battery set up at the ramp. And so far, things are going well here for Showtime. He has confirmation. Moving out with his own counterattack, bearing in mind that 2 adepts taking one-shot probes, so there's value here to try to backstab hero and punish him while he's on one base. Here in the meanwhile, moving in. There's that first 7-0 immortal here for Showtime. Showtime is getting into the main. Here he commits, going for extra warpins. Again, going for a purely gateway all-in here. I mentioned earlier that the distance by ground was shorter this time compared to last game, so I thought it was going to be immortal first, but no, it's going to be prism first again. It's going to be for that prism. Does try to move in. Behind this, again, we have batteries, we have the immortal, we have sentries, we have force fields. Adepts, they don't get much done here. 3 probes do go down. Now, Showtime does have to be careful. Because he has no defensive war prism, that means that if he gets caught up by the force fields, then he will lose units. So he has to be very careful, as he has less micro potential than hero. With that as war prism. Second immortal has arrived. Nice force field. Hero shouldn't lose the adept. Shades into the middle line, actually commits. It does commit in. 1, 2 probes going to be going down. Yeah, getting up to 3 worker kills. We're evening up the worker counts. And here he shades back in, gets another probe. Ooh, this is getting out of hands. Getting another 2 probes. Yeah, 5 probe kills in total. Not bad. Getting up to 6. Okay. 6 probes for 3 adepts. So here it does get extra damage done, and behind this has been building up his immortal count. Building up the immortals. Now you can see here he actually pulls back with his main army. He can drop and harass and micro with the immortals, but the main army does pull back home. Curious to see if hero plans on expanding here. I say that he does get a Stargate. Yeah, going for the Stargate, going for the Phoenix. Showtime, he breaks out. As Showtime breaks out, hero, he's moving in. Robo's gonna get depowered. Hero, he can try to delay. Has to be very careful here. Cashing us some free stalkers. Oh, the steel batteries though. Yeah, the batteries do keep him alive. Do we recall? We do. There's that recall back home. Immortals, they get 1 probe and a stalker. Keeping Showtime busy. This is giving hero time. Hero back at home is building up his phoenixes. As we saw in the previous game, phoenixes are ideal when it comes to hunting down the war prism and crowd control in the army, specifically the immortals. They have a lot of value this early on. So hero's going to have a slightly more complex army, that is true, but Showtime's going to have more firepower. Remember, Showtime has 3 mortals, hero has 2. As this prism is buying time. So here is forcing Showtime to back off and go back home. Both players do expand. We're not out of the woods yet, though. Yeah, shields are triggered. Ooh, whole damage here on one of the immortals. hero's got to be careful. And thankfully for herO, there's no Stargate. Right? There's no Stargate, there's no Phoenixes, so there's no way to securely hunt down that prism. hero's building up. And the game is stabilizing from here. Getting to 2 bases. It's been a very tense early game, and I do think there was potential for Showtime to commit across the map and to break the low ground and to break the expand of herO for sure. But again, he was forced to recall back home. He did respect the prism quite heavily here, and now he's pinned back. And this is giving herO the opportunity he needs to take the natural, the faster natural, bear that in mind, to gain map control, to build up his Phoenixes. He's up to 4, I believe. Yeah, 4 Phoenixes. Let's down the observer, containing Showtime, and suddenly herO has gained map control. He has gained that map control. From Showtime, it would make a lot of sense to go into Glaives from here. Glaive Immortal is a very common way to be aggressive and to make use of this heavy Immortal count. At the same time, we drop into the main base. The Stalker's going to be lifted. Yeah, Stalkers are dealt with. Better trade for herO. Catching out 3 Stalkers, 4 Stalkers so far. Oh my god. So many Stalkers go down. Showtime being pulled apart. Nice use of the Phoenixes. Catching out Stalkers. Oracle into the bases. I assumed it was going to be Showtime to go into Glaives, but no, it's herO going into Glaives instead. Never mind. Oh, as the Oracle pops off here. 5 probes go down. Again, limited to anti-air because the Stalkers were dealt with, right? Stalkers that were just killed. 5 probes go down. We can, again, tank the sentry shots. Additional oracles on the way. Showtime's in trouble. Once again, there's only 1 Stalker. And thankfully, there's a battery. This time, Showtime does react in time. Pulls back to the battery. Glaive's almost complete. Now, herO should recognize that he has dealt some critical economic damage, and even herO catching out 3 more probes. For 1 Phoenix, and herO has a choice to make. He could be hyper aggressive and warp in more depths and commits, or we can just expand. Yep, may as well. herO has map control. Why not just expand, maintain a greater economy, take a further lead, and force Showtime all in? And that's what's happening here. Like Showtime, he throws down 2 more gateways. Showtime is being forced into a 2-base all in. Drops like this are still keeping him pinned back at home. Supply blocking Showtime. Oof. Again, there's still Oracles threatening the natural. Prism into the main base. Phoenix is also out on the map as well. Showtime, he wants to just F2 across it. He just wants to send it, but he's stuck at home. He's getting up to 5. Yeah, 5 gateways. Oracles, they go back in. They get 3 more probes. herO does reinforce. And again, I don't think herO needs to be aggressive like this. We don't have to push, but I mean, it's herO, so why not? He can just secure his 3rd, get a better economy, tech up from here, but no. Uh-oh. Showtime thankfully does spot the main army. It does spot the main army. It's going to be 4 probe kills in the main. Once again, nice damage. 1 Oracle finally goes down, and herO, he commits. Yeah, he's going to be committing in. Nice force field, zones away 2 Immortals. Does waste some of Showtime's DPS. Doesn't quite commit. hero's trading, and he does not catch an Immortal. Nice save by Showtime. And Showtime saves the Immortals. Prism does back up, and hero's just trading. He's just trading with the army. Remember, he has a greater economy. He can warp in. He goes for the mass lift. Takes down 3 Immortals. They get lifted, and Eps, they do snowball out of control. They're diving on the main army. Sentries are going down, and they get on top of the Immortals. And finally, they fall, getting 1, 2, and soon to be all 4 Immortals. And with that, Showtime, he just cannot hold his own. Not like this. Down to 1. 1 Immortal left, pappy. And we just lift. And GG gets called. GG gets called. herO who'll claim the series 2-1, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played, as herO will claim the series. Shout out to Showtime for holding his own, and again, I can see a world where this could have gone Showtime's way. Remember, Showtime initially had the advantage. Showtime, he was able to scout, react, and respond very well to the proxy robo, getting his own defensive robo, building up a higher immortal count, and if you recall, there was even a time in this game where Showtime had map control, but there was a crucial moment where Showtime lost that control. That was when herO went for his own Prism Harass. He picked up his immortals, he went for his own War Prism Harass into the main, and that actually forced Showtime all the way back home. He turned everything back around, despite having momentum, despite having a larger army, and despite having even a faster natural base or a secure natural. He was forced back home. herO was able to slowly take his own natural base, gain map control, go for, of course, the Stargate into Phoenixes, contain Showtime. Suddenly the turns were tabled, and herO suddenly took the economic lead away from Showtime. Took that away from him, took away the lead, took away the army, and GG. GG, well played. And with that, herO does claim the series, and we're going to be heading over towards the lower semifinals. We have a PvZ ready for you here. It's going to be a PvZ between Classic and Rogue. Let's go. Let us go. But again, shout out to Showtime for holding his own, and as I mentioned, I can see a world where he could have been maybe more active, more aggressive, more intentional when it comes to his move out, more committed, I should say. But at the same time, he didn't really know what he was pushing out into, and he didn't want to, you know, take the War Prism too lightly. Did force him to be contained. Here we go. Now we're going to be loading into our fresh series. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Winter Madness, we have the blue Zerg player, the blue Zerg player himself. It is Rogue. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Protoss player representing Virtus Pro. It is a Classic. Let's go. Let us go. We're settling into our fresh series, settling into our PvZ, and I'm curious to see how Rogue will approach this, especially in this map pool. Welcome to Winter Madness. Winter Madness is one of the larger, more defensive maps in the map pool. Obviously, it's not as secure and defensive as Celestial Enclave, for example, but it's definitely up there when it comes to being able to secure yourself on 4 expansions. With a 4-base setup, with a 4-base economy, Protoss players can look to max out and build up their Sky Toss. It's going to be up to Rogue to be more aggressive to stop that from happening, especially when it comes to the Korean Zerg players. Aggression and all-ins is very, very common in ZVP. 2 and 3 base play is kind of what we expect out of Rogue, and on these larger maps it can be more difficult to break the Protoss. So typically Classic would be favored on Winter Madness, would be favored on Celestial Enclave. It's going to be Rogue who's favored on the smaller maps like Tourmaline, like Ruby Rock, like 10,000 feet. I mean, 10,000 feet is a little bit different. We'll get to that if we have that in this series. We'll see. For now, Hatch Gas Pool. Hatch Gas Pool, standard opener out of Rogue, and we'll keep an eye on his tech of choice, whether he goes into a faster Forge, faster Lair, or faster Roach Warren. We'll keep an eye on his tech. Likewise, from Classic, we do expect this to be a Stargate opener. Classic does vary up his builds a little bit. We expect it to be Stargate play regardless, but his follow-up can be more interesting. We can see Blink, we can see Charge, we can see Glaives. Classic, when it comes to the follow-up Twilight Council and tech of choice, that's where he can mix things up depending on his timing. For now, Stargate opener into Oracle into the 3rd. We're just waiting for the Twilight Council timing after the 3rd base. Here's what we're looking for. Likewise, just droning, saturating, link speed is on the way, pulls out of gas. This tells us, of course, there's no early tech here from Rogue. If he stayed in, that can lead into, say, a fast layer tech. But the 3rd is being taken. We're just calming down. For now, it's going to be a bit of a check here. It's going to be up to Rogue to keep up with the Adept and with the Oracle Harass to minimize losses. Here we're expecting at most like 2-3 drone kills, but not much more than that. Those are the expectations with the Adept Oracle Harass. This Classic is poking in, ensuring that there is saturation. First Oracle is going to be on the way. And I believe Classic, he does go Adept into Stalker. Okay, so with this Stalker, he's going to be zoning away any kind of Overlord. It does mean that Classic's going to be less aggressive and less active on the map. He opted not to open up double Adept. And again, he's hunting for Overlords. But they're here on the right-hand side. The Oracle does work in, gets one. Yeah, one drone, but oh, that's a lot of hull damage. Ay, ay, ay. Again, 3 queens were in position, and Rogue did shut down the first Oracle very nicely. Behind this, that is an early Twilight Council. Ooh, that's a Twilight Council as the third was being thrown down, but the Zergling does scout. Now, what does this tell us? Well, this tells us that the Forge is going to be late, right? It's a later Forge here for a Classic, so there's less of a chance that this is going to be Blink, for example. I would say there's a higher chance it's going to be Glaive Adepts, but there are builds where you can go into early Blink, into early Blink Aggression, but show us what you got, Glaives or Blink Stalkers. Ah, late Forge. Late Forge confirms no Glaives. It's early Blink play. Now, because of such an early Blink timing, this does mean that if Rogue were to go for a 2 base all-in or a 2.5 base all-in, Blink would be finished in time to defend the third base. So that is the value of having this early Blink. It also allows Class to be aggressive early on as well, to be able to hunt down Overlords and apply pressure and threaten the fourth base. The big downside of this variation of build and this timing is late Forge. Late Forge, late +1, late +2 as well. So later upgrades here for Classic, but are earlier active Blink Stalkers. Meanwhile, the players are joining, the players are saturating, Adepts do shade into natural, but Rogue is in position. Catches out both. Nice pickoffs. Rogue just shut down the Adepts. At the same time, we have a hidden Baneling Nest behind the natural. So, Baneling Nests are very uncommon in PvC. Usually if you open up with an early Evo Chamber, we expect +1 melee into Ling Hydra. It was early Chamber into Ling Hydra, but again with that Baneling Nest, that does give Rogue the potential to be more aggressive. Now this might just be a safety precaution. Remember, Rogue did see the early Twilight Council with his Ling earlier on, so he might believe that it could be Glaives, and if that's the case, Banelings will help in the defense. Hello? We have 14 Lings in production. Baneling Nest is complete, and we're waiting for Banelings to morph in. Now we just go for Ling run by. Does hit the third. Classic did move out across the map. As he moves out, Rogue moves in. But the battery's in position, Oracle as well, and Classic defends. We mentioned earlier, because of earlier Blink, Classic can be aggressive earlier on. A Blink is done in 5 seconds. Lings, they try to engage, but Oracles they will punish. Yeah, they support the Stalkers quite well. Gets the first queen, no transfuse. Yeah, there's no energy for a transfuse. Getting one, getting almost 2 queens. Lings, they attempt to flank. Good attempt. Again, that's a lot of Zerglings. Yeah, Oracles are activated, and that does force a recall. Oh, but that's still going to be Stalkers going down. They're getting 1, 2, 3 Stalkers. Not a bad defense here by Rogue. Yeah, not bad. Behind this, taking up in towards Hydras, getting into Baneling speed, so going into Ling Bane Hydra composition. Alright, Classic is stuck at home. He's stuck at home, building up into Storm. We'll see if he can get there. We mentioned earlier that on Winter Madness, this is one of the easier maps to turtle up on 4 bases on. Well, there's a 4th base. Rogue does confirm, and Rogue, he wants that 4th. He wants the 4th base. And it looks like he should force a cancel. Oh, yeah, it does force a cancellation. Big delay here for Classic. He wants it again. He wants it. He's going to get it as well. Oh, never mind. Does not commit this time. The base will survive. Lings, they slip into the natural. Ooh, Classic. He leaves the door open. herO. Yeah, Classic pulling a bit of a hero here. Leaves the door open. That is 4 probe kills. Oh, okay. Nice damage. Did I say 4? We're getting up to 7. 6. Getting up to 6 probe kills. Again, nice damage here by Rogue. Is cleaned up. And Rogue has joined up quite nicely. He joins up to 80 workers here. He's massing up his Lingbane Hydra, bearing in mind that Rogue is not teching. If he so chose to, he could throw down Infestation Bit and start working towards Lurkers or Hive Tech. That is not the case. Rogue is sticking with a Lair Tech composition and looking to build up and max out with Lingbane Hydra to try to break Classic. Now, as I mentioned previously, it's going to be difficult. He at least has some momentum. Rogue was able to delay the 4th base. This does delay the growth of Classic's army. That is true. We can see Classic going for the Fleet Beacon, again trying to turtle up into Sky Toss. Storms are available, and we'll see if Rogue can break through. Actually, what I will say as well, that ideally Rogue wants Classic to push. Classic is pushing on the map, he's exposing himself. And this does give the opportunity for Rogue to potentially surround, to flank the army. A Classic, he doesn't need to be out here, he shouldn't be out here. And 1, 2 storms. Second storm was a little bit premature. Oh, never mind. Actually, oh my god, it punishes the Hydras. It does punish the army here. Shows some more storms. And these have been good trades. These have been good trades here. This was very risky, as we mentioned. Classic was exposing himself and potentially vulnerable to a flank. But he does storm well. And he backs off. Yeah, he backs off. He retreats. He makes it back home. Rogue, he took some hefty losses there. And now he's made it to the side defense. Does take out one of the Templar. Bailey's gonna roll in. Do they get into the mineral line? They do not. Yeah, Bailey's gonna make it through. There's still a couple of storms left. Rogue, he's running out of Hydras. And he's so close to getting to all those Templar. Oof. As there's, what, 1 storm left. Oh, yeah, once again, a little bit premature here, but we're running out of Hydras. Classic, he is holding on. Oh, we lose the Immortal. But only 3 Hydra left. Attitude down to 1, 0. GG gets called. Rogue's all-in fails. He will lose every single Hydra, and Classic takes game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played again, Rogue. He committed, everything was committed there into that all-in. It was a 4-base all-in off of 80 workers. As we try to emphasize, there was no tech. There was no further tech, there was no infestation, there was no lurker den, there was no way to tech up out of that. It was either Rogue kills Classic or he dies trying. A failed to kill. As you mentioned though as well, Classic, he has a greater defensive position here on Winter Madness, but I should give credit of course to Classic being active with those High Templar. I was very concerned that Classic was going to overextend and was going to expose himself, but he landed some storms and then he retreated. He just backed the hell off. Thankfully he did not overstay his welcome in the center, otherwise that could have cost him all the Templar. So he raced back home, made it home in time, and had a solid defense. GG. GG, well played, with that Classic takes leading the series, and we're going to be loading to game number 2. Let's go. Let us go. As we are loading into 10,000 feet. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of 10,000 feet, we have the South Korean Zerg player. We have the Blue Zerg down in the series. We'll see if we can bounce back and make a series out of this. It is Rogue. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the Red Protoss representing Virtus Pro, leading the series 1-0. It is a Classic. And Classic, 1 game away from claiming the series and advancing on to the grand finals to face up against herO. Bear that in mind that herO is waiting in the finals for the winner of the series. Personally, I'm hoping to avoid a mirror matchup finals, but I mean, Classic is favored coming into this matchup here, and we'll see if Rogue can bring him down. And welcome to 10,000 feet. Hey, we actually alluded to this map earlier, discussing kind of the strengths and weaknesses. We spoke about how it is easier to turtle up on Winter Madness, and we saw that come into play, of course, where Rogue was all in, and Classic, he defended well. He was able to shut down set aggression. Here on 10,000 feet, it's a little bit different here. Now, 10,000 feet has the shortest rush distance by ground, so technically, you would think that aggression is favored. But what I will say is that your natural, your 3rd, and your 4th base are very close together. As you can see here, they're all on the same screen. So when it comes to defensive rotations, between these bases, they're right next to each other. So it is easy to defend, easy to rotate between them. Not just that, the 3rd base is in front of the natural, so there's only 2 attack paths. You attack here up the ramp, which is brutal to begin with, or you attack here on the right-hand side through this relatively medium-sized choke point. So those are really the only two attack paths in, so it is relatively easy as a Protoss player to turtle up on 4 bases here. Now what I will say regarding the size of the map, so for example, comparing this to last game, if Classic were to be active on the map with his High Templar, it is easier to punish as the map is smaller, easier to get a wraparound, and if you do take a better fight as a Zerg player, you can very quickly snowball out of control. Because the distance is so short between one side and the other side of the map, if a fight goes awry for the Protoss, then they get punished real fast and real quick. So we often do say that this map, instead of favoring like aggression or favoring like defensive or offensive play, we say that this map favors momentum. Whoever gains momentum early on can swing that heavily in their favor. But here we go. For now, we're calming down. It is going to be a Stargate opener out of Classic. Does open Stargate, a Rogue likewise joining up back at home, going for his own link speed. Pulling out of gas, claiming his third base, which is going to be somewhat delayed, but the pylon is going to be dealt with before the Adepts arrive. And there's the expand. Ideally, you throw down the pylon, you buy time for the Adept shades in, the Adept focuses down the drone, and then you heavily delay the Zerg, but Classic wasn't quite able to pull it off. Passing shot of Rogue, he does kite back the weakened Lings. Doesn't lose anything. Oracle opener out of Classic. And this time, as opposed to last game, Classic does reinforce with a second Adept. Remember, last game it was Adept into Stalker, this game a double Adept opener. As Classic does threaten a dive. Does threaten, keeping a Rogue on his toes. Classic claiming his forward third. And we're here to see if Rogue once again goes for his early Evo Chamber into +1 melee into Ling Hydra. Whether we throw down an earlier Roach Warren. Speaking of early tech, that is just like last game, very early Twilight Council. Very early. Now, just like last game, my assumption here is Glaive Adepts, and the Zergling Dust Scout does confirm the early council, but last game it wasn't Adepts, it was early Blink, and we saw Classic make full use of that, being aggressive early on with those Wing Stalkers. So we'll see if it's going to be early Blink or Glaives. There's that Gateway Explosion. Bearing in mind that Rogue did see the council, he's aware. Oracle does poke in, catching out 2 drones, very nice. I don't see a forge yet. Show us what you got. Huh. And once again, early Blink, same build. This is the same build that we saw last game. So very early Blink Stalkers into forward get aggression into a delayed forge. So delayed forge, delayed +1. Early Blink. And once again, we have an early Bathing Nest here by Rogue. I still believe, just like last game, that this is a reaction just in case it were to be Glaive Adepts for more secure defense. But so far, this game is looking very similar to the previous. Except for a couple of things. Yes, we have the defensive Bathing Nest, but do you notice something here? No chamber this time. Last game, there was the early Evo Chamber alongside this in the +1 melee, which did signify a Ling Hydra. Here, there's no chamber, early lair instead, and gases are being taken. So with all these gases being taken here, this might be either a bigger commitment into Hydras and less so Zerglings, or this could even be a fast fire. Now the Oracles do poke in, they do get eyes on some of the gas geysers. They don't scout the lair timing. But they do see the lack of any tech. Oh wait, my apologies. I did miss this. I missed the Evo Chamber behind this. It was still a faster lair, but Evo Chamber behind the gas geyser tells us +1 melee. So I did miss that chamber. Lair is not done. And hey, as I mentioned, it is going to be for the Spire. So it was the earlier lair that did tip us off for the potential Muta play, which is why we brought it up earlier. It is going at Mutaling Bane, not Muta Roach, which is more common in ZVP. Okay. I'll be honest, if I had seen the Evo Chamber earlier, I would have read this as +1 range into like a Hydra heavy composition, just because Ling Bane at Muta is so uncommon in ZVP. But it is going to be for the Muta play. Classics, he's applying pressure. Going for the Queen. He gets it. Queen goes down. Lings, they attempt to punish, but they're going to be forced back. They're going to be forced back here. You can see the game of chicken. The oracles, they hold on to their energy. Oh, stasis trap did go off. As he does catch a reinforcements, not bad. And Classic has to blink away. Getting caught out. Races back home. There is a battery. And once again, another stasis. Ooh, does connect. Yeah, stasis goes off. One oracle goes down, but it misses control there by Classic. Yeah, nice pick up there with the oracle, and Lings, they do punish. And what's important here is that Rogue, he's buying time, he's distracting Classic while he builds up his mutas. 11 mutas are now on the way. 12 mutas even. So far, unscouted. It's a big risk, a big gamble here from Rogue, but so far he's getting away with it. He's getting away with it. So far, there's no defensive setup here in the main. Or the natural. Mutas are making the way across the map. No, they get spotted. Oh, never mind. Here they get intercepted. Massive scout here from Classic. Does what the mutas. Phoenix production has begun. Classic has precious seconds here to react and respond. The oracles are going to be cleaned up. There's a recall back home. I spoke too soon as the oracles, they do manage to get away. Okay. Does pull away in the end. Stalkers are in position, and so far the mutas, they've done no damage. As you mentioned, they were scattered ahead of time. Even a couple of seconds was enough here to warp in, to set up defensively. Lings, they will hit the fourth. But they weren't. Oh, they will force cancel. Not bad. Nice cancellation. I mean, the fourth was almost done as well. It's a very nice cancellation. Rogue being very active. Taking down the gas geyser, catching out 3 probes. No major damage yet, but this is slowly adding up. And we can see that Rogue is going for a ground switch into Hydras. So +1 range is on the way, Hydrogen as well. He's getting ready for a ground switch. Until then, Lings do hit the 4th base again. This time there are cannons. Yep. Classic, he defends. And this is my concern here, that Classic, he will secure his 4-base setup, which means he can soon look to max out. He has no splash damage yet, no storm. For now, going for a 2nd Stargate. He's committing into mass phoenixes. Lings, they come in from behind once again. The wall's not a wall. Ooh, the wall's wide open. The Lings, they flood into the mineral line. They catch a High Templar as well. Yeah, Templar does full 6 probe kills. Mutas, they distract the main army. And Classic being pulled apart a little bit here. Again, we got a wall off back. Second time this series. Oof. This means they catch out another 10 probes, or in total. Rogue is taking up further. Hive is on the way. For Classic, Fleet Beacon. Now I'm curious if Classic does recognize that the muta card is not getting bigger. It's not getting larger. There's that Lurker Den. In my mind, the Fleet Beacon should be for the mothership. But we'll see. Oh! Yeah, Hydras are revealed. Now Classic knows. He now has confirmation. And remember, Classic, I don't think he realizes he has no Storm. Yeah, Storm was never researched. He has all these High Templar gathering energy, but no upgrade. Ay. And if he doesn't notice soon, that could cost him the game. Again, this tells us that he doesn't know. He thinks he has it. Classic, he has the money for Storm. He has yet to research. Going for the mothership. Yo, he can feedback the Overseers. True. He can. Oh, no. That's going to be 1, 2 probes going down for a handful of mutas. Oh. They do somewhat trade. And we will soon see the moment when Classic realizes he doesn't have Storm. There's going to be a moment where we engage, where he attempts to Storm and realizes he can't. Lurkers are getting behind the mineral line. Tempest production has begun. Third Stargate, fourth Star. Jesus, getting to 4 Stargates. No detection here. Lings are coming from behind it now. Yeah, now he knows. He just tried to Storm. Storm has finally begun, but that's still going to be one. Oh, the Templar there, good away. Oh, I spoke too soon. 1, 2 Templar go down. Nice snipes. Now, thankfully, Classic realized he didn't have Storm during the retreat, not when there was a big engagement that was about to happen. So we need that Storm. So there definitely could have been a worse timing when that realization kicked in. Oh, as we do snipe another couple of Templar. Nice snipes. We're setting up for a push on the 4th base. He's moving in once again. No Storm. No, the High Templar, he gets surrounded. 1, 2 High Templar go down. And without Storms, Classic just has such a weak defense here. It breaks through the cannons. Once again, attempts to dive on the High Templar. Now, good reaction so far by Classic. He does save his mineral line. Drew saves the mineral line, catching out all the Hydras. At the same time, Zelarabi did kill one of the expansions. Almost the other as well. So Classic, he's fighting back. We have 0 detection, by the way. I was waiting for the Observer, and there is no Observer. Revelation, though. That'll be good enough. Lings taking away from behind. They're going for the expand. They should not get it. It's going to be close, though. Oh, my God. Yeah, Storm connects. Lings are thrown away. Mutas as well, and the base will survive. That was an expensive trade here for Rogue. We can see that clearly he wants... Oh, as the Lurker is still popping off. We can see that he clearly wants to switch into Corruptor Ultra, as Ultra's on the way Corruptors as well. But again, that was still a messy trade. Going for Microbial Shroud. Kindness Plating is done. Rogue, he is in a way perfecting his army, or at least he's improving it. So get a nice thing run by. The cannons that were never replaced. And no replacement cannons. Ultra, they go for the die. They want the Templar. And they do collapse in. Oh my God, massive Ultra swipes. Catching at the entire ground army, and Classic, he's crumbling. Yeah, does recall back home, saves the mothership at least. But the Ultras are overwhelming. Yeah, they clean up everything on the ground. With that, we have Hydra trickling, Corruptors as well. There might not be enough anti-air, but the anti-ground is there. Yeah, Stalkers, they get zoned away. Takes down the entire mineral line. That's going to be 43 probes going down, and critical damage being dealt, and Rogue has done. He snowballs out of control. Again, before this, we saw the Muta play was unscouted. It did give it Rogue map control, allowed him to mass expand. And again, we saw Classic having a weaker defense due to the fact he didn't realize he didn't have Storm for so long in this game. Ay, ay, ay. Desperation's like counterattack. He does knock down some bases. Oh, the transfuse. GG gets called. Rogue ties up the series, and we're going to the ace match. GG. Whew. GG, well played. We're going all the way into game number 3 here. Again, a very shaky game here by Classic. Despite not scouting the mutas, I will say that he had a really good reaction. If you remember, he saw the mutas in the center of the map. He bought some time. He stepped up defensively. It didn't lose too much initially to the mutas, but over time, it was a Ling Muta aggression that was picking off units, picking off some workers here and there. Did force a cancel on the 4th base at one time, of course, and we had the unfortunate you know, lack of storm and lack of recognition that that upgrade into research, that did mean that we had a shaky defense in the mid to late game when it came to link counterattacks, link run bys, and the main army engagements. It was very shaky. GG well played. With that, we're going to be getting into the ace match. Oh, loading into Ruby Rock, one of the smaller maps of the map. Smaller map, shorter rush distance by ground. Typically aggression is favorite here, and I would lean towards our Zerg player when it comes to a more aggressive style, but we'll see. We shall see. A spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the blue Zerg player, the blue Zerg player himself, tying up the series 1-1. It is Rogue. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Protoss player, the red Protoss player himself representing Protoss Pro. It is a classic. Here we go. Now, something that we have been seeing from Classic every game so far in this series is early blink. We've been seeing a Twilight Council basically as a third base gets thrown down into a very fast blink. We saw it in game 1, we saw it in game 2. I would not be opposed to it here in game 3. The reasoning for this is because there's a higher chance that Rogue is aggressive earlier on, and we did mention that typically early blink does give for a stronger defense in case there were to be an all-in coming across the map. At the same time, because Classic's been going for early blink every game so far, I'm curious if Rogue is deterred from going into an all-in and maybe goes for 3-4 base saturation instead. We'll see. This is where mind games come into play. This is where the overall series and each game impacts the other. Yeah. As now, hatch gas full, Rogue forsake the unnatural natural. Now, with this base being taken, this does already start to spread creep faster across the map. This looks like, especially from quite some time ago, the beginning of, say, like a German taxi. That is something that's going to be in the back of my mind, and again, creep is going to be pushing across the map much more faster than we typically see in ZVP. So we'll see if that comes into play. Link speed is on the way. Rogue pulls out of gas. So far, droning, saturating. We should still be seeing the typical Stargate opener here by Classic. And again, we have expectations of that earlier Twilight Council timing. We'll see if a Rogue does mix up his build, though. I did mention that Classic's been going for the same opener and same style game after game. Rogue did mix things up last game, of course. Did go for the earlier Eva chamber, but actually went for the lair first. And with that led into extra gases, into mutaplay. I don't see that happening here, especially on a smaller map. It is very risky to try to pull that off, especially multiple games in a row. You don't want to rely on that same build, that same style. Not as a Zerg player, not at this level of play. As just like last game, Classic does open up double adept. Does threaten a dive. Cashing out one drone so far, but we'll lose one of them in the process. Ooh, better trade here for Rogue. Classic gets to get the hell out of here. Does pull away. And we're still a little bit early for our attack. We're still waiting here. Still looking for our initial response. Classic setting up his third. So just joining. Lings, they confirm the third location. I would say this base is a little bit more secure than the other. Here, when it comes to the triangular third base, it is a very direct path across the map. Do you see what I see? Same Twilight Council timing, just like last game, just like the last 2 games actually. So early Twilight Council into early upgrade into later tech of choice, and sorry, into later +1, I should say, later forge. But there is a slight difference here. Game 1 and Game 2, the Twilight Council was a part of the wall. Here in Game 3, it is hidden. So I would say there's a greater chance it's going to be Glaives here. Eyes on Classic. Do we go early Blink again 3 games in a row, or Glaive Adepts? Meanwhile, Eva Chamber first out of Rogue, looking like +1 melee into Ling Hydra. Meanwhile, there it is, a Blink into later Forge. Same build, 3 games in a row. Classic is doing it again. Oh, meanwhile, we actually have an early Roach Warren, once again hidden behind the natural here. Okay. Up until this point, it's been Ling Bane, if you recall. It's been pure Ling Bane into either Hydra or Muta. But here we have a hidden Roach Warren, potentially for Roach Aggression, but the Depth Scouts. Yeah, big scout here for Classic. He does see the Roach Warren. He knows a big deviation now in this series. And he does spot the Roaches, shades into the main, commits. Oof, and drones are going down, getting 1, 2, getting up to 3 drone kills. 3 drones do go down. Does scout the Roach Warren, big moment here, and Rogue knows he's been scouted. Curious to see if he commits into Roach production or not. Rogue is droning. You can see here a massive wave of drones. This looks like a safety Roach Warren more than anything. That's Classic goes for a massive gateway explosion. Jesus. Throws down his gateways. The Templar Archives on the way. Working towards Storm, and you can see him taking a defensive stance. So it looks like, again, because Classic scouted the early Roach Warren, he's taking it very seriously, throwing down batteries, throwing down pylons, and throwing down production instead of warping in and pushing out across the map, which is what we've seen so far in the series. These oracles, oh, they overextend. 1 oracle does go down, getting both. Oh, just 1. 1 oracle kill, but that's still a better trade here for Rogue. Snipes the oracle. Being the nest on the way for Rogue. Interesting. Storm this time is not forgotten. Is on the way. And Blink is now done. Classic now being active. But again, this is less aggressive and this is later than the last 2 games. As typically this would be more committed earlier on, before Blink was even done, with Oracle support. Ooh, as Ling's a Force and Archon, very nice. And the Archon gets surrounded, massive big off, gets the Archon, gets the mineral line as well, nice hold position micro. Yeah, messy defense here from Classic. At the same time, he does get across the map, and does he get the 4th? He shouldn't be able to. 4th base is getting low, these Lings are getting out of hand. Classic being punished for pushing across the map. Yeah, he gets punished for it. And they do get some drone kills at least. But these are still some rough losses for Classic, losing even more here. Nice hold position micro. Lings are left idle. As they do try to move in. And catching up the Zealot once again on hold position. Messing up some of the attack pathing. We're just still flooding. We're still flooding across the map. Trading in Stalkers. Very nice trades here for the Zerglings. Cash out almost every single Stalker, and just purely from Ling aggression, this game might just be over here. Sure, we have a Spyro on the way, but this is too much damage. 12 probes. 12 probe kills. A very messy defense here from Classic. Again, punish for pushing out across the map. And not just that, but also punish for losing his oracles. Again, typically oracles would shut this down real fast and real quick, but 1 oracle went down early and the other is still across the map. So lack of oracle defense, lack of Stalker defense. Classic falling apart here. And Rogue, I mean, I mentioned earlier that I didn't expect to see Muta play 2 games in a row, and we're getting there in a different way, right? Roach speed is on the way. We're building up the Roach army as well. Once again, Classic moves out. As he moves out, Lings, they move in. This third base will fall, and Classic is all in. Classic is completely all in. He has to end the game with this push. There's no turning back, not anymore. It's all or nothing, but there are Roaches to defend. The roaches are here. Nice kiting against the zealots. Queen's a tank. Mutants are going to struggle a little bit against the Archons, but what's important is that every zealot goes down and the roaches will overwhelm. And with that, rogue, he snowballs out of control. He breaks the main army, takes down all the Archons one after the other. And we will not have a mirror match at finals. Not for the KFC, pappy. No. As the third base did survive, but again, Classic, he sustained critical losses here. Mutants did have in the Archon. Archon barely does survive. Roach army's coming in, Ravages as well. And Rogi's finally here. He commits. He's going across the map. He breaks through that defensive line. There's one Archon left. The battery's out of energy. And again, there's just no defending this. There's no surviving. Rogi snowballs out of control. He breaks that third expansion. And again, he's just rallying. There's still a singular muta here in the natural mineral line, doing what he can. GG gets called, and Rogue will claim the series 2-1, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. Again, Rogue mixing things up throughout the course of the series here. In game 1, had a much harder time breaking the defensive position here of Classic or Winter Madness. Game 2, we did mention that game 2 was a little bit awkward just because Classic had forgotten Storm. He did forget Storm, and Storm would have made for a stronger defensive setup on 4 bases and could have led to a different outcome as well. So yeah, game 2 was a little bit awkward. Here in game 3, Classic was punished for being overly aggressive and for messing up in the aggression as well. What I mean by that, if you remember, we did mention that this time when he pushed with his Stalkers, he had no Oracle support. The Oracles, they went in prematurely earlier on, and they got taken out early on as well, so there was less Oracle support. The Stalkers were on their own. They did struggle when it came to maintaining their aggression, and because of lack of Oracles, the Link counterattack was brutal, catching out the Archons, catching out the reinforcing Stalkers, and crippling the economy. So brutaling run by brutaling counterattack with a very messy defense, and with that, GG well played. With that, Rogue will advance on, and we have the grand finals. It's going to be a best of 5 between Rogue and herO. For now though, we're going to be cutting to a short break. When we come back, we'll have the grand finals. We'll have that best of 5 ready for you. See you soon after the break. welcome back everyone, welcome back to the grand finals here of the KungFu Cup, the KFC KungFu Cup 2026 week number 8. We made it here to the grand finals. Again, herO took down Showtime earlier in the PvP, and Rogue just took down Classic as well. Both matchups did go the distance to the ace match, and we'll see if that trend continues here in the grand finals as well. So we're going to be jumping on into our fresh series. Let's go. Game 1 is going to be on the Old Republic. As a reminder as well, this is going to be a best of 5. The finals here for KungFu Cup are best of 5s. Semis are best of 3s. Let's go. Let us go. So jumping into our fresh series. Vamonos. As spawning in the top right hand corner of the Old Republic, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss representing T1. It is herO. And spawning in the bottom hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Zerg player, the red Zerg player himself. It is Rogue. Here we go. Here we are back. We're jumping into the Old Republic for the first time tonight. Here we go. The Old Republic, of course, is an interesting map here. It's a bit of a larger map in the map pool when it comes to the distance spike round. That is true. But I would say that the 3rd and 4th bases are very open and very accessible. This does often favor aggressive builds and aggressive styles. And as a result of that, we often do see a lot of aggression from Zerg players here. I will also say because of the size of the map, it is safer to go into muta play. We have already seen some heavy muta play from Rogue in his classic series, so that's going to be in the back of my mind. Keep an eye on the gases and keep an eye on early tech from the Zerg. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll be seeing mutas at some point in this series as well. At some point. But now we're going to be opening up. Meanwhile, when it comes to herO, I mean, we speak about herO in Classic as they have the top 2 Protoss players in the world. That is true. But herO is a little more diverse in his play. One of the criticisms that I have of Classic when it comes to the last series against Rogue is that Classic went for the same build every game. Every single game. He went for early Twilight Council, early Blink, into Blink Aggression, into Storm Follow-Up, and we did see Rogue be able to play around that, be able to play around some of the predictability here of Classic. herO, typically we should be seeing something different every game. Every single game here, we should be seeing charge-based play, void ray-based openers, which he has been very fond of as of late. Going into Blink, going into Glaives. Typically does have more diverse play available to him. Not saying that he can't play Standard. herO can, of course. He can play Standard, but he often does mix things up. Which is what does set him apart from the rest. But now just being as annoying as possible. Setting up for his eventual 3rd base. There's that Stargate opener here by herO. Should be Oracle. I say should be. If you recall, we were covering herO's matches last week. We saw a lot of Void Ray heavy play out of herO, referring to his matches in the RSL, if I recall correctly. Yes, in the RSL. We saw a lot of Void Ray play out of our Protoss player. We'll see that trend continues here in the KFC. We shall see. So players are going to be saturating. It is going to be Oracle first here by herO, not Void Ray. Soon to move out across the map. Behind this, likewise, does not open Stalker, does go double Adept. How about herO? He doesn't get across the map. herO plays it safe, claiming his expansion. And we will soon see our tech of choice here. Now, when it comes to Classic's play, if you remember, what we were seeing at this timing, Twilight Council. Remember, Classic was going for very early Twilight Councils as the 3rd base was being taken. Here we can see a much more standard variation by herO going for a 2-gate follow-up. So throws out a 2nd gateway, going into a later tech timing, which is more standard. So already herO veers off from a Classics build. Oh, that is different. I mean, I did mention at the start of the series how here he does like to mix up his builds quite heavily here. And that is going to be Robo into double. Oh my god, wait, what? Okay, Robo into double forge. This could be one of two things. This looks very similar. This is very greedy, by the way. It's very, very greedy and very defensive. This reminds me of a couple of games that we saw in Altitude a couple of years ago, from players like Creator, from players like Showtime, going double forge, double upgrades, Robo into Bay into a 3 Colossus timing. Like you build up into triple Colossus, then you move out with 2-2. I'm thinking that that might be the play here for herO. Otherwise, it could be gateway heavy into like a Soul Train S composition with a heavy immortal count. So we'll see if this leads straight into the Bay into Colossus or not. As your Oracles, they poke in, it is going to be a early Roach Horn here out of Rogue. Still going Eva Chamber +1 at melee. This is actually looking very similar to the last game we saw between Rogue and Classic. So +1 melee lings into potential Roach play. We'll keep an eye on the gases to see if we do go into mutas. Meanwhile, no Bay. So no Bay, we're not going for any kind of rush into Colossus. This is going to be a gateway heavy style into like a Soul Train-esque push. Very gateway heavy, very Robo heavy, very immortal heavy instead. So it's the other option. Here we go. Overlord does attempt to scout. Second Stalker warps in. Overlord scout should be denied. As the Overlord might see the Robo. Oh, it's going to be close. Does see it. Does see the Robo, but that's not enough of a tell here. What would have been the tell is seeing the Robo and 2 Forges. This could be there could still be a Twilight Council alongside this. So some incomplete information here from Rogue. Going for the lair, taking his gases. Again, this is looking like Muta play again. Is this for the Spire or for the Hydroden? Now, if this is going to be for mutas, the question becomes what hits first, right? Because here he's building up towards a very strong timing attack here. But in my mind, this is for a 2-2 timing. We'll see. He's still going for the Bay. This is a little bit messy. Yeah, this is very messy here. Meanwhile, it is going to be the Spire as we had assumed. Again, this is the same build that we saw from Rogue in Game 3 versus Classic, which was Eva Chamber into Roach Horn into +1 melee into all the gases into mutas with Roach support thereafter. But what I'm concerned about when it comes to herO's play here is that I had assumed that he was going to be hitting early on with Immortals, but instead he goes for the Bay. So if we decide to wait for Colossus, it's going to be too late. If we wait for Colossi, mutas will amass. So what's the plan here? Here is being somewhat active. The War Prism tells us that we plan on being aggressive. Yeah, the Prism is out, but we are waiting for the Colossus. Colossus production has begun. Like, are we going to wait for +2 and wait for Extentoma Lance? If we're waiting for all of this, mutas will arrive, and that means that here is going to be contained. As Oracles, they get across the map, they get 1 drone. Oof, just the 1. herO just harassing with the Prism. And muta production has begun. And herO has no idea. Here he has no idea. If you had a Temple of Archives, I can see herO pushing with this and still being able to threaten the mutas, as he would have Archons, but that's not the case here. There we go. Does Revelation, he does Scout, he does Confirm. Okay, he knows. This is actually pretty crucial here. Just like on 10,000 feet in Game 2 with Classic, herO, he has precious seconds to react and to respond. Cannons are being thrown down. He can start Phoenix production if he so chooses to. herO pushes. Okay. Yeah, the best defense is going to be a strong offense. herO, he scouts the mutants and he just sends it across the map, warping in more Stalkers. He does spot the Lings. herO, he rotates over. Trying to keep up. Does catch a couple mutas. He does catch 2. 1 or 2 mutas go down. Lings, they move in. Colossus in position. Somewhat. Where are we going? Okay, Colossus is at the 3rd. Catching other mutas. Lings, they rotate to the left-hand side. But again, we're about to have 2 Colossi. And so far, herO is defending well. He's defending well, he's building up his army, Rogue is maxed, and hero's army is slowly catching up in supply. And can hero hit before there are lurkers? He can. Yeah, he's pushing out hero now. As he moves out, Lings, they move in. Mutas for the most part have been dealt with. The muta play was not worth it, did not pay for itself. But the wall, no, the wall is wide open. Yeah, the wall's the wall. Lings, they collapse on the stalkers, they flood into the main, they flood into the natural, and hero, he F2's back home. He turns everything back around. Ay, ay, ay. The Lings don't actually get much done though. They kill cannons, but no economic damage. Very nice defensive by hero, but this did delay. This did buy time. The lurker den is now done, and can we morph in lurkers in time? No. Yeah, the answer is still no. We need lurkers, Fab. We need the lunkers. And without them, Hero is snowballing out of control. We have 3 lurkers morphing in. Hero, can he get on top of the lurkers? Roaches, they go for the dive. And he wants the first Colossus, he gets it. Yeah, he gets 1 Colossus. There's still 2 Colossi left. Lurkers do borrow. 0 detection. Yeah, there's no Oracle, there's no Observer. Oh, Colossus are exposed. A messy movement here from Hero. He will lose 1 more. He's down to 1. Down to 1 Colossus, but he will avoid the lurkers. Again, there's only 3. There's only 3 lurkers. Base goes down. Hero still trading well. He shaved off so many Hydras. And Hero might not be able to kill, but he is crippling. So he's trading well. As we're waiting for that Oracle. The Oracle's coming. It's gonna have 1 revelation. Even that might not be enough though. Lurker count is building up. If there's that first revelation, catching out 3 lurkers. He dives in, gets 1. And now there's an Observer. There we go. Observer has arrived. Behind us we have the Mothership. We have Tempest production. Rogue is struggling to keep up, struggling to defend. We lose another lurker. He has 7. 7 lurkers remaining. Rogue going for the counterattack. Does hit the center expansion. Zelter hit the defense. Hero turns around. He turns around with his gateway arm, with his zealot, I should say. Force to cancel. Force to cancel. Delaying Hero. The lurker count is slowly building up higher and higher, but this is what's important here. Yes, now we have a secure lurker count. Now Rogue, he survives, he defends against the ground army, while Hero this entire time has been slowly building up his Sky Toss. The Mothership. The Tempest production has been underway. So Hero, he's in a sense 1 step ahead, where he's already getting the answer to the lurker. This is where Rogue, he thankfully already has a Spire because of the mutas. True. Already has a Spire. Oof, lurkers, they get focused down. Speaking of, this is a very bold move here by Rogue. He's exposing himself. Yeah, losing 1, 2, 3, up to 4 lurkers. Up to 5. 5 lurkers go down. Heavy losses here for Rogue. He should not be out here. No, like he's losing 6. 6. Should it be 7? Do we get all 8? Oh, he does. 8 lurkers get picked off. Massive losses for Rogue. You can see him plummet in supply. And he is down to 0 lurkers. Yeah, just overly aggressive. He gets caught out on the map. Gets caught on borrowed. And with that, Hero has done it. He stumbles out of control. He didn't even need the Tempest, by the way. Didn't even need the Tempest. Didn't even need the Sky Toss. GG gets called, and Hero takes game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played. A very unusual build here by Hero, going for a fast double forge into Robo. Initially I thought it was going to be for a 2-2 timing with 3 Colossus. Instead it was like a mixture of like the 2 different styles. The other option I said was a heavy gateway composition with a heavy immortal count. We began with early immortal production into delayed Bay, into delayed Colossus production, and I was concerned that the mutas would gain map control and would contain the Protoss player and allow Rogue to take over the entire map. Mutas arrived, but if you remember, the mutas did not pay for themselves. They did not pay for themselves. The mutas were shut down. Hero, he thankfully was able to scout it ahead of time. If you recall, he saw the mutas with the Oracle. He got a revelation off, saw the mutas. He reacted with his own static defense. He took a defensive stance, and the mutas did almost 0 damage. Likewise, the Ling aggression also bought some time, but did not trade well. GG well played in the end. herO snowballs out of control, and with that, herO takes the lead in the series. Now we're going to be loading game 2, loading into Taito Citadel. Let's go. Let us go. Wait, show me game 2, going to be loading into Taito. Vámonos. As spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss representing T1, leading the series 1-0. It is herO. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Zerg player. The red Zerg player herself down in the series. It is herO. I see old mate Jason in the chat. Bearing in mind that whenever you go into mutaplay, it is a very big risk. It's a very big gamble. I would argue that it shouldn't have worked in game 2 versus classic, but he had Forgotten Storm, so he had less anti-air and less to zone away. Game 3, if you recall, went unscouted. That's one of the reasons why it did excel against classic. But again, that's one of the risks you take. That's a big risk, a big gamble, and it did not pay off for Rogue as it was scouted early on. So the big investment into mutas is what set Rogue behind. Did fall behind. Okay, that's the gamba you take, papi. It's the gamba. So now we're going to be opening up Hatch Gas Pool. Welcome to Taito Citadel. Taito Citadel is an interesting map in the map pool. Often is vetoed, to be honest, but we've seen it now twice in tonight's broadcast. Has some unique features, has the gold expansion here in the bottom left hand corner, has some more spread out bases. So I will say that trying to build up into 4 and 5 bases can be difficult on Taito just because of the distance between the expansions. So as a result, we don't often see this map. So curious to see how our players will approach this. I'm curious to see how Rogue will adjust, as I can't imagine he'll go mutas again. Likewise, no shot herO goes double forge again. Like there was like last game was a very unique build from herO, and it was great to see it thrive, I should say, but I feel like we should be mixing things up here. I mean, it is herO, so we should be seeing something different. Whether he plays standard or another quirkier build, we'll wait and see. We shall wait and see. From here, we are just going to be opening up once again Stargate opener out of herO. We'll see if he does open Oracle or Void Ray. As I mentioned previously in the GSL, we did see a lot of Void Ray heavy play out of herO, but again, he is willing to mix things up and vary things up here. Based on the rally, it looks like an Oracle opener. As a Rogue does claim his third. Eyes are going to be open for a tech of choice. And on a map like this, because the bases are so spread out, I would say that typically Zerg players would be favored in the mid game when it comes to being at Ling or being hyper aggressive with Ling Hydra. That's kind of what we're expecting here out of Rogue, and I'm sure herO's expecting that as well, which is why we should be seeing either a counter aggression out of herO, or again, I don't even think defensive play would be ideal in this map, so we're expecting something more active from the side of the Protoss as well. To fight for control of the game. Here setting it for his third. We will soon have our tech of choice from the Zerg player, as we're soon going to be saturating our gases. Yep, now it's time to pull in. Gases are being taken. The initial Oracle does move out, and it is going to be Evo Chamber first. Okay, so early Evo Chamber screams +1 melee. This typically should be Ling Hydra, but we have seen games where Rogue has gone Ling Muta. True. Again, as I said previously, I'm not too fond of the idea of going to Muta play. Meanwhile, that's going to be a very early Forge. Huh. Okay, interesting. This might be charge. I feel like usually when we see a prioritization of Fortune +1, it does lead into charge instead of blink, but eyes are going to be on herO. Does open up triple oracle, moves out across the map. Queens are out of position, they're in the main, but the oracles don't hit the natural. Instead, they go for the fourth base. They go for secure damage. It will force a cancel. Nice pickup. Very nice. Lings, they attempt to move out. Eyes are on those Zerglings. This might just be mistimed here because the forge is done, but we have not started +1. Like we so we'll see if it's blink or charge. As Lings, they almost cash the initial zealots, the initial depths, I should say. Oh, does get one. Yeah, it does take down the adepts. Boys are being pulled. Pro's going to be going down. The third oracle does make it here in time. As where are the upgrades? We're banking resources. Este herO. There we go. +1 on blink. So +1 on blink. Standard follow-up here at a herO with a more standard Twilight Council timing. I did mention that the early forge was a little bit weird and did tip me off, but we saw that nothing was done with the early forge. Like we just banked up resources. Waited for the Twilight Council to finish anyway. Meanwhile, the oracles, they do catch a queen. And I don't see any gas explosion here from Rogue. So far, he is on 3 gases. Lair is finishing up, and we're leaning more towards Ling Hydra, but we'll see. As another gas is taken. Basically, we're waiting to see what the Lair is for. What are we taking into? Oh, and there it is. It is going to be Ling Muta. Once again, if you recall, we saw this in Game 2 against Classic. Oh wait, was it Game 3 even? As things, they do force their way in. Yeah, they force their way in. Shading into the mineral line. So far, no scouting at the natural. They do shave off some Zerglings, but so far, no scouts on the Spire. And yeah, so far, every game, some variation of Muta play. Every game so far. This series out of Rogue. Did it twice against Classic. So just like last game, we have the Roach Warren with +1 range on the way. So it's going to be mutas into Roach support on the ground to make sure that the ground army of herO doesn't get out of hand. It's going to be muta Roach. herO going for a later move out. Blink is done. Storm is on the way. Lings are being chased down, and herO, he can push across the map. Now, the most important thing here, herO is still not aware of the Spire. He's not aware of the mutas. So once again, a big risk, a big gamble here from Rogue. So far, it's working out. The oracles were distracted. Yeah, they were distracted. Mutas have arrived. It's going to be 8? 6. Only 6 mutas. That's only enough to one-shot probes. Yeah, so a very light commitment into mutas, which means the lack of scouting isn't really going to hurt him too much. So we get mutas are revealed, and instantly cannons. Cannons are being thrown down. Cannon in the main base. Phoenix production has begun. herO knows. And Rogue goes back into muta production. So 6, soon to be 11. 11 mutalisks. Yeah, the base should be going down. The oracle's going to be zoned away. I say that the battery does finish. Oh my god, just in time. And that's time with the battery. herO, he defends the 4th. Rogue so far, these mutas have not really paid for themselves, and we can see a switch into roaches. Oh no! As Lings do slip in. Not too many Zerglings. Remember, there is a cannon. So herO, he defends well. Shuts down the Ling aggression. Maintaining his ground army. And we can see that herO doesn't overreact. It looks like he has recognized that the muta count isn't too high. There's only 1 Phoenix, so a very light commitment into Phoenixes. herO is mainly focusing on his ground army, which will be better against the roaches. Speaking of, here come the roaches. Yeah, they're going to be moving in. Stalkers have arrived. The roaches are exposed. He blinks in. He's crazy. He dives on the roaches here. The roaches are being focused down. We can see intentional target firing on the Archon to help when it comes to the anti-air. But the Archon does survive. That's way too soon. Archon goes down. Picks up both. Yeah, picks up both Archons. Nice blink control, avoids the miles. herO reinforcing from across the map, going just pure blink stalker here. How many gates? 9. He's on 9 gateways. Warping in wave after wave of stalkers. They're being warped in here in the center. Pushing across the map, and here he might just have too much here. Again, here he's slowly getting on top of those Ravagers. He's close. The Ravagers at the back end of this army. Music of the counterattack. Trying to force defensive warp-ins. Wow, they graze the army. One Stalker goes down. No, the Ravagers are exposed, and he dives in. He dives in. Ravagers are going down. Heavy losses for Rogue. As we mentioned, he cannot afford to lose them, and the Ravagers, they do all fall. Mutas, they get across the map. They do get a mineral line, but it may not matter. It may not matter as the Stalkers are getting out of control. The Circling support is going to help quite immensely here, but now here come the Zealots. It's getting close. Stalkers are low. Stalkers are very low, but they should still overwhelm. We have Roaches trickling in. Bio connects, gets a Stalker. Do we have enough Zealots? Do we have enough Chargelets here? The answer is no. Yeah, Rogue is holding on at the same time. 29 probes go down. These Mutas, they were never taken care of. They were never taken care of here. 31 probe kills, critical damage, and here he was so close to breaking Rogue, but barely, not enough. And Rogue survives. He survives. Rogue has got 55 workers. He does have this northern base as well. Mutas are still up and running, and again they've crippled hero's economy. These Mutas, they should not have gotten this out of hand. I don't blame herO. He was close to breaking Rogue then and there. It was the Ling reinforcements. Zerglings are ideal against Stalkers. They did an amazing job just tanking, not just tanking, but also collapsing on the Stalkers themselves. That was 37 Stalkers going down. Mutas are going to be cleaned up. Rogue wants to save those Mutalisks. Down to 2. So Mutalisks are now a non-factor. Hive is done. We have Adrenal on the way. Rogue is droning, getting up to 3 base saturation. At the same time, hero's economy isn't too that far off, actually. 56 probes. Getting up to 60. Does support the expansion. Here it does with the Ling Ravager. Now, once again, he does have to be careful here not to be caught up by the Zerglings. Oh, he blinks forward. Oh my god. It's crazy. Yeah, blinks forward. He gets punished for it. Losing 1, 2, losing 3 Stalkers. Heavy losses for herO. Losing 4 Stalkers already. And again, that should not have happened. But he did blink into the army. So we do need more Zerglings. Here he commits. Nice blink control. Does push forward. Not many Lings left over. Yeah, Banelings don't really help too much here. Not against the Stalkers. Now the Banelings are down. Zealots rush in. GG gets called. herO does overwhelm. And herO, he will take a 2-0 lead in the series. GG. Whew. GG, well played. A very chaotic mid-game there as herO, he was essentially going for a massive gateway all-in, committing across the map, looking to break Rogue. The Mutas did crippling damage, that is true, but Rogue didn't have the best economy either, as we were trying to point out towards the very end there. Is like, hey, Rogue, he went down to 55 workers. herO had a comparable probe count, so herO actually had the better economy, and herO was able to maintain himself. Rogue was trying to re-drone, resaturate, and couldn't quite keep up. We also saw that, I would say that Rogue making all those Banelings at that time was a bit of a waste. Banelings are not ideal against Stalkers. They're amazing against Zealots, but it was a Stalker heavy composition, not Zealot heavy, so the Banelings were less effective, less efficient against the Stalkers, and by the time Zealots arrived, there were no Banelings left. But even if that wasn't the case, I don't necessarily think that Rogue would have held there just because of herO sustaining himself, sustaining his economy as well as it was, and then GG. GG, well played. With that, herO does snowball out of control, and with that, we're now getting into game number 3. Do we see Mutas 3 games in a row? Do we keep going? And do we go into Mutas again? Oh boy. I would hope not, but it seems like Rogue has been relying on this, and it worked against Classic, so I understand some of the logic here. It might just be his preferred style currently in PvZ, but we'll see. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of 10,000 feet, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss. Oh. We have the blue Protoss himself, representing T1, leading the series 2-0. It is herO. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Zerg player down in the series, down heavily. He has to fight back here and now to make a series out of this. It is Rogue. Here we go. Here we go. As we are going to be opening up, and we are going to be selling in. And again, Rogue, he's been very heavily reliant on muta play throughout this entire tournament, not even just the series, but against Classic as well. And here it hasn't really been working out for him against herO. herO's done a great job when it comes to scouting at the last moment. herO has not been seeing the Spire, but he has been scouting the Mutalists themselves, giving him precious seconds to react, to respond, to set up back at home, and to come up with a game plan, of course, to punish the muta play, to counterattack across the map, and to shut Rogue down. So far, the mutas have not been worth it too much. I say too much because technically last game the mutas did pay for themselves eventually, but that was after he was already dying back at home to the Stalker aggression. Kept Rogue in the game, but wasn't enough to give him a lead. This was not enough. Our player's still just opening up. Droning, saturating, link speed is on the way. Nothing crazy, nothing wild. Once again, Stargate opener out of herO. And we'll see where herO takes us from here. herO has been mixing up his builds. Game 1, we saw that crazy double forged robo opener into Colossus timing across the map. Game 2 was more standard out of herO. Did stick with a gateway heavy composition and did avoid going into Storm. That is true. So he was a lot more aggressive, a lot more in the face of Rogue earlier on. This time, what do you have for us? Once again, welcome to 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet, as I mentioned previously, has a very secure and very defensive 4-base setup just because of the distance in between the bases. It's very short distance, easy defensive rotations. So the pressure is going to be on Rogue to try to break that defensive line. One of the ways to do so is muta play, but once again, I'm not fond of the idea of going into mutas 3 games in a row when they've not been working out too well here for Rogue. Do you think it'd be wise to mix things up? Setups are going to be zoned away. Roki is able to hold on. Zones back herO. And may even delay the third. Oh, does. Yeah, here is up to 500, almost 530 minerals there. So a nice delay on the third base. Catching out the Adept. Lings, they move in. Oh, as Rogue is supply blocked. Brutal supply block here. 3 overlords going to be on the way. Rogue to at least confirm additional Oracle production. Once again, fast Eva chamber, and I feel like a broken record at this point. Every game I'm like, oh, fast plus on melee should be Ling Hydra, but every game it's been Ling into Muta into Roaches. So we'll keep an eye once again on Rogue to keep an eye on any kind of Roach Horn timing, on the gas timings as well. Rogue has not been deviating too much. As Oracles they poke in, they delay the fourth base. 1, 2 drone kills, Queen's out of position, even going for the Spore as well. Very nice pickoffs. Oh, they run a move. There we go. Does retarget. That's a kill, not a cancel. Kills the Spore. Nice damage so far with the Oracles. Behind this, we have a Forge and Twilight Council at a reasonable time. So standard timing with the tech. Into most likely +1 on blink. And especially because of how heavily reliant Rogue has been on meter play, I do think there's just more incentive to go into blink stalkers, less so into charge slots. As we're soon getting into our upgrades. Oh, risks it here. No, never mind. Did start charge for a moment, and okay, does go back into it, so +1 in charge is going to be on the way. I mean, the mind games are real here. I don't know if you noticed something, but this time there is no Roach Warren. There's no Roach Warren. I feel like there's a higher chance it is going to be Hydras here out of Rogue, and that is where Zealots can excel. I'd have to say bust into the main base. They trade well against the Zerglings. They kite further into the main. Shade is cancelled, cashing out a drone, denying mining time here in the main. And again, I don't see a safety Roach Warren here out of our Zerg player. Oracles they try to support. This timing here is going to hit quite hard. And if it's laying Muta without Banelings or Roaches to support, it's going to be a rough defense. Wings across the map. They bust into the mineral line. They deny some mining, so some okay damage here is being dealt. That's 3 probes. They push further into the main base. So far, there's no sign here of charge. Oh, actually, never mind. He sees 2 Zealots, he knows. Yeah, he does know. And there it is. There's that Hydra. As we mentioned, +1 charge is ideal against Ling Hydra, and this time it is Ling Hydra. So very nice call here from herO. It was a risk that he took, but so far it is paying off. Now, thankfully, Rogue, he saw the slow lot, so he knows Banelings. He's aware that he does need Banelings to defend. Pure Ling Hydra struggles, that Banelings are going to be more ideal against those charge lots. Ooh, as one Oracle does go down. So we're going to have a back and forth. herO will be lacking that surprise factor. We're massing up into Storm. That's a lot of High Templar. And Banelings are good against Zealots. Storm is, of course, better here. That's a lot of Storm. And here comes herO pushing with Storm. It's going to be 5 Templar, 5 Storms. We have a handful of slow Banes morphing in. And it comes down to herO's control. Ling counterattack is deflected. Army does commit in. We're holding on to the first Storm. There it is. Yeah, it does Storm with the Banelings. Oh my god, mass Storms. Banelings just shut down the Hydras as well. He stands in the Storms and everything just melts. Oh my god, the base does fall. That was the final Storm. There's 1 Hydra left. And herO trades well. Yeah, he does trade well with the army. Breaks the expansion. And behind this Fleet Beacon. Oh my god. Rushing into the beacon. Crazy, baby, crazy. And with this is going to be reinforcing, and only 1 Hydralist survived that first wave. 1 survived. Reinforcements have made it. Another Storm of the Queens. Ooh, nice target firing here on top of the Oracle. Here he wants the Queen. Tempted. Doesn't quite break through. And behind this we see Rogue rushing into Lurker Tech. So we have the Lurker Den on the way, attempted Infestation Bit, and the Hive Tech as well. So Rogue working towards Lurkers, herO already working towards Tempest. So we do have another Storm. And once again zones away, the army cannot engage. That's going to be, oh, another cancellation. And denies center expansion. There's still 1 Storm. herO does pull away. But again, he's been trading well. He's been trading very well here, mainly throwing away Zealots for Hydras, for expansions. Now, I would say the follow-up is quite greedy as Banelings are rolling in. Does he catch the Templar? Oh! Ooh, not quite. And Banelings make their way into the mineral line. Cannons in position. Banelings, they get 1, 2, up to 4. Yeah, 4. 4 probes. So nice defense here by herO. Again, slowly massing up those Tempests. We have, I want to say 2. Yeah, soon to be 2 Tempests so far. start building up. And the game is going to slow down. The game is going to slow down. But the unfortunate position here for Rogue, due to the lack of fourth base, as it's been knocked down time and time again, and lack of saturation, means that Rogue can't really threaten herO. herO is safe to take up into Sky Toss. Usually doing this would be greedy. Usually doing this would mean that herO would be exposed with a lackluster army. And even here you can see, herO, he's got 2 High Templar on the top side. He's got 3 Archons here on the bottom side. He's got a couple of Zealots in the center. herO doesn't really have much of a ground army, but neither does Rogue due to the lack of economy. Tempest are revealed. Instant Spire as a response. So Rogue getting ready for Corruptor production. At the same time, we have double Robo here from herO, setting up those Immortals. And before we can even build up in towards Corruptor tech, the Tempests have arrived. An earlier push here from herO. This is risky, for sure. It is risky, but should work out well with all these storms. And first wave of Lings go down. We can see Rogue coming in from behind, setting up with this round. Nice slow zone. Very nice slow zones. Mass storms on the Zerglings. Archon shots going off. Lings, they just melt. And herO pulls away. Yeah, here he does pull away. Barely gets away with those 4 Templar. Another storm of the Hydras. And an insane efficiency here from herO. That's crazy. It was the slow zone. The slow zone and the mass storm of the Zerglings was insane. Mass revelation. The lurkers are exposed. And herO trying to collapse in from behind as well. A little bit messy as herO is lacking revelation on these lurkers on low ground. But there we go. He does collapse in. Where's the detection? No detection. The lurkers, free damage. But there we go. The observer now has arrived, and hero's done it. He has done it. He will take down every single lurker. All 4 lurkers go down. Only Hydras remain, and herO is snowballing out of control. Again, such an insane read at the start of the game for herO. GG gets called, and herO will claim the series 3-0, becoming our KungFu Cup week number 8 champion. GG. GG, well played herO. He does dominate this series. Once again, Rogue, he was heavily reliant on mutas in game 1 and game 2, and both games he got scouted. The Spire didn't get scouted, but the mutas did, and herO, he had some precious seconds to react, to respond, to be able to set up back at home and to counteract said muta play. Here in game 3, herO, he blindly did decide to open up charge, and Rogue this time did not go mutas. This time he went into a Hydra based composition, which is weaker against early charge. We saw that as a result of that, herO was able to have a very strong trade early on, killing so many Hydras, so much Lingbane, and of course killing the forward expansion to ensure that Rogue had no economy coming into the mid game. It meant that herO could get away with the Tempest Rush. He could get away with rushing into Sky Toss due to Rogue's lack of economy, and then we saw the early push as well. herO moved out with 160 supply. It was really interesting timing because of this timing though, he hit before Hive Tech upgrades kick in and before the Spire kicked in as well. So herO recognizing that he had a window of opportunity to push out, and that's why he was able to break Rogue. GG. GG, well played. herO does claim the series, but a shout out to Rogue because it's not easy to bring down a player like Classic. Rogue did defeat Classic on the way to the finals, so very nice result there from Rogue to pull that off. Unfortunately, he doesn't take down herO, but herO is the best pro in the world, so you know, he was favored coming into this. Rogue did very well for himself, making it to the finals. GG. GG, well played with that. Congratulations to herO for claiming the series, and that is going to be wrapping up our early morning broadcast. A bit of a shorter broadcast here, again a bit of a shorter finals I should say, but very quickly let's head on over here to the brackets, sorry, to the schedule. So we just wrapped up with our Tuesday morning broadcast of KungFu Cup. This evening we're going to be live with the podcast. That is going to be Tuesday evening. We have Pegasus Cup tomorrow morning on Wednesday and Thursday. So back-to-back Pegasus Cups. We have GSL, the GSL round of 8 will be beginning here on Wednesday and Thursday as well in the afternoons. We're going to be casting that live over on Soup. It's going to be our live soup coverage. Meanwhile, if you only watch on YouTube and Twitch, we're going to be rebroadcasting those VODs over the weekend. That is why you see the double up of GSL during the week and end of the week. That's the rebroadcast on Twitch and YouTube. Meanwhile, we have KungFu Giants Cup on Friday, and we have RSL the final 2 days on Saturday and Sunday as well. Again, we're going to be crowning our RSL Season 5 champion this weekend. We're crowning that champion. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are going to be wrapping up here for the evening, oh sorry, for the morning, and I'm going to go get some breakfast. It's midday. I've not eaten food. I woke up, I got out of bed, I was like, which is why I was a little bit messy when it came to the first series, so I do apologize for the herO versus Showtime for being a little bit out of it, as I was just waking up. I'm going to go get some breakfast, then might nap a little bit before the evening podcast. Oh boy. That is the plan. So again, we have a full schedule here tonight. I should also emphasize, for those that were maybe looking for us last night, the Universe Cup show match, which was meant to be a best of 7 between Percival and Rogue, was rescheduled. That's why we were not live last night. So just as a heads up, there's a rescheduling of that event. That's why we weren't live. So just a reminder, to apologize. We should be rescheduling that for June. It is rescheduled. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for the support. Stick around. We're giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. We'll find someone to send everyone over to. As God, thank you so much, babylings. Hope you're doing well. Great to see you. Breakfast at 12 p.m. with no pants on. True. very true. Aye. I'll go get some breakfast and then get ready for the evening cast. But thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for the support. Again, subscribing for 48 months. That is crazy. That's insane. That's so many years. It doesn't even feel like it's been that long, but that's crazy. Thank you so much. Let's find someone to raid. Someone to send everyone over to. Let's have a look here. I know that Ubu Thermal streaming Age of Empires. We have El Chanchito. I believe he's playing in the Green Art mod tournament. Let's have a look here. Yo, Jaime's playing StarCraft? Wait, what? Jaime? What's going on? Soon we'll end up in a nursing home. True. Then we can play Protoss. The plan, Papi, the plan. But I feel like I have to raid Jaime. It's a Spanish stream, but Omid Jaime, like he has not played StarCraft in a very long time. Let's give him some love. True. For those who don't know, Jim Rising, he's a massive Spanish streamer nowadays. And he did switch to League of Legends. Like, this would have been back in 2023, 2022. I want to say like 2023. Switch to League of Legends. But he's playing StarCraft today. It looks like for 12. It looks like he's doing like a subathon thing, where he streamed for 12 hours StarCraft. So we gotta give him some love. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you guys next time. Until then, ciao, papi, ciao. See you next time. Hasta luego.